Creative Fam Academy. This is a place for videographers, photographers, and content creators who are looking to develop their craft or grow their business. Here, you'll be able to connect with other creators and learn from years of experience. We also have job shadows of unique situations and training courses covering techniques and camera-based skills. The Creative Fam Academy was designed for creators on the go, and you can access it through our dedicated app or the online portal. Stream hours of original content from anywhere, including interviews with your favorite creators, live shows from the Creative Fam studio, and behind-the-scene breakdowns with the biggest brands in the industry. The Creative Fam Academy was built by content creators for content creators with new videos added each month. Take your next step in your creative journey now, and welcome to the fam.
What's good, Creative Fam? Brandon Washington here, and I am super excited about this live stream. Really looking forward to this one. As you guys saw in the title, in the thumbnail, we have a big show. We have a big show planned for you today. Got some special guests here today. Got some extremely controversial topics to talk about today. And ultimately, we are here today, hopefully, to not only have a great conversation, but also to provide some value, answer some questions, and hopefully you guys are ready for this. I can already see that we have over 50 people who've already tuned in just on YouTube alone, and that number just keeps ticking. As you guys probably saw in the comment section or in the chat, I've already asked you guys, start listing out some of that gear right now that is overrated. I would love to know what gear is overrated, because we're not going to waste any time today. We're going to get right into the meat of it. But before we do, I do need to do some quick housekeeping. First and foremost, as a lot of you guys know, we just wrapped up the 25 days of Christmas, where we gave out free gear every day from December 1st to December 25th. And we have officially announced all those winners. If you are not sure if you won or you haven't been able to keep up with it, definitely go check out my Instagram at bwashmedia, or go check out the Creative Fam Academies at Creative Fam Academy Instagram, so that way you can see if you've won. We have emailed all winners at this point, and so definitely make sure you check your inbox. Also, make sure that you go and check your spam just in case it went there. You were emailed from Creative Fam Academy, so just make sure that you do check that if you are one of the lucky winners. If you didn't happen to win, don't worry. We have a crazy year planned out ahead of us, and we're going to be doing way more giveaways, because ultimately, as you guys know here on the channel, my main purpose is to try my best to provide as much value and now as much gear as I possibly can throughout the year. And speaking of value, this live stream, I wanted to bring in some outside perspectives. I wanted to bring in some other creators who I'm I admire. I love what they're doing. I love following their content and even working with them. So I'm really excited to introduce a couple guests. The first one is our first ever, besides my wife, my first ever in-person guest filmmaker who's here to provide value, who's here to answer questions. That is my good buddy, Marcus. He is a documentary filmmaker. He creates content on Instagram and on YouTube. He's trying to educate the next generation. He's a fantastic workaholic. He knows how to get the work done, but he also knows how to prioritize family, which is something that me and him are always talking about, because he is a family man like myself. And honestly, I think outside of the filmmaking and the gear and the video production and all of that stuff, it is our alignment in faith and in family that has really drawn us together. And so I'm really excited to bring up my good friend, Marcus. Marcus, thank you so much for being here today.
Nah, man, thank you for having me, for sure.
So, Marcus, tell the people a little bit about what you do. I know I talked about you a little bit, but, let them know, like, what do you got going on?
All right, so I'm a DP here in Houston. Probably been here for the past 4.5 years, and I have a very modest production company here, and my emphasis is documentary filmmaking.
Dope. I'm really excited that you're here. Mr. Camera Junkie is also saying welcome, because, that's the one thing. I see you have a couple mentors or mentees in the chat as well. And that's actually one of the things I love most about what you do on Instagram, Marcus, is that I feel like you have a really good connection with your audience and that you're really there to help them along their journey, because we all have sort of our own unique journey on this path of being a filmmaker. Because I mean, this is something I know you and I have talked about a lot, is that there's no perfect path. Everybody's path is a little different.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, for me, it's like, you know, first of all, thanks everybody for following me. I still ask the question every day, like why are you guys following me? You know, because like I don't see myself any different than any of them. It's just that I probably started sooner, and I'm very transparent about the walk in the process, you know, because it's not all glamorous, it's not all cool, but it's very rewarding. So I just kind of want to share both sides of that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the other thing, and if you guys haven't seen it, Marcus actually just released a new video where he actually talked about his move, where he moved from Connecticut here to Houston. And like, I remember that's actually about the time that you and I connected, was when you were making that move here. And, you know, now that you've been posting some videos on YouTube and you're going to continue to keep posting videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm really excited that you're starting to share more of that journey in a long form. And so if you guys are currently following Marcus, let us know in the chat. If you're not following Marcus, what are you doing? Pull out your phone, go follow him over on Instagram, because his journey has been amazing. And as a friend, I just love seeing that you continue to grow in your hustle and the fact that you're able to keep doing this and providing for your family.
Yeah, no doubt. It's different because it's that social media thing is something I pushed back on and butted for a long time, because I'm like, well, how's it going to help me with my journey?
Yeah.
And so far it does, because I think the one thing people don't talk about is the accountability factor. Because once you're out there, you know, you really do have to take that straight road, and then like you got all these people that are counting on you, you know, to do something positive with that journey. So it helps me out.
Well, speaking of social media, we probably have one of the biggest gearheads on social media also joining us today. I don't know if you guys follow this dude. You probably do already, but Mr. Justin Porter is probably, when I saw his content, I was immediately drawn in. Like, it was one video, immediately I was drawn in. And then every video after that, I was like, oh, this energy is infectious. But he also was somebody who, for the very first time, I found actually outpaced me in my gear obsession. We call it having gas around here,
Yep,
you know,
yes.
that gear acquisition syndrome. And this is the only dude I think I've ever met who has more gas than I do. And that's Mr. Justin Porter. And so I'm really excited to bring him up on the live stream, because obviously I'm going to let him defend himself a little bit. So welcome to the live stream, Justin.
I was just about to say that, bro. I was like, when he gonna pull me in here? Because you call me like it is very true. It is very true. I thought this was a very interesting topic that you gonna have today, and I was like, man. As soon as I saw it, that's why I had to reach out. I was like, bro, everybody knows me. Everybody knows me for the guy that buys. Like, I buy everything. I've tried it. I've tested it. And I just thought that the topic was so fitting today, because what I don't get to do is exactly what you said, defend myself. And so people just see people just see the videos like, yo, you got this easy rig, you got this big gimbal, you got this, you got that, you got this. And it's like, okay, well, you know, let me tell you about the problems. But the problems aren't getting the views on social media. Social media just wants to see the cool new gadgets, you know. And so I saw this, I saw you, you know, post about this, and I was like, it was super last minute. So one, thank you for allowing me to, you know, be able to hop in here and just spend a little bit of time. But it was just a perfect opportunity, man, to just talk about like why gear is important, but like why I also buy the gear to solve a problem. So
yeah,
thank you.
And so I want to give everybody context in the chat, just so you guys know. So literally I posted about the live stream yesterday, day before yesterday, and I posted the trailer, which this is something that I didn't know. And let me know if you guys knew this in the comment section. I actually just figured this out. But whenever you post a live stream and you schedule it, you can actually post a trailer for that live stream. So when you guys start seeing my live streams are up, especially early in advance, go ahead and click on them now. So that way you can actually check out the trailer, because it's something that we're testing out. And I'd love to know how that actually informs you guys. It's a little bit more than just a title and a thumbnail, because as you know, today we're going to be not only talking about gear, but our good friend Marcus here also has a movie that's currently on the short list for an Oscar. So congratulations for that. But we'll definitely talk about more about that in a second. But Justin immediately texted me. I think before he even saw the trailer, before he even really knew what the live stream was about, he was like, how I get on this. And I think that just goes to the value that we are all trying to provide here online, is that like Justin saw an opportunity to provide more value. And he was like, how do we get on the live stream? He was able to move pretty much his schedule around and get the tech stuff figured out in order for us to be able to pull this off. So Justin, I want to thank you so much for being on here, but I know you want to defend yourself. But before you defend yourself about gear,
I'm ready.
I know y'all, you ready to fight. We'll hold up. We'll get there. I got to know, because I saw some answers in the chat already. I got to ask Marcus, I got to ask Justin, currently in your journey, and we'll start with you, Marcus, what has been the most overrated piece of gear that you purchased in your entire journey? It doesn't have to just be this year. It could be from day one to now. What was the most overrated piece of gear that you purchased?
So not just purchase once, but purchase several times, because I felt like each time I purchased it, it was the most unused piece of gear in my kit. Drones. You know, like I saw people posted in the chat. They talked about gimbals, and you know, it's debatable, but you don't need a drone for everything. So it's like I was forcing myself to use this drone, even though client didn't ask for drone. I was like, no, you might need the drone. And it just sat there. So I ended up selling it.
You bought a drone from me.
I bought a drone from you and I sold it. Yeah, drones.
All right. What about you? Mr. Porter? What is the most overrated piece of gear that you have purchased in your journey?
Man, I hearing him say drones, I didn't even consider that, but I wouldn't say it's overrated, because there's been a few films where I got the drone shot and it just made every bit of a difference in the film. Like, you know what I mean? It was only one shot. So for me, I think personally, I'm going to have to say the slider. Dude, I can see my Rhino slider from here. I kid you not. Every time I look at it, dude, if there was I'm not saying that the slider is bad. The Rhino slider is phenomenal, but for $4,000, I took it on 2 actual paid projects, and for the last year, it sat in my garage. 2 years, it sat in my garage in the Rhino case. And when I got this studio, I finally was like, oh, I can use a slider. And, you know, now it has a permanent home in the studio. But I think for me, yeah, the slider. So many YouTubers, so many videos. Oh, get the slider. Cinematic this, cinematic that. Went out, bought my first little GVM slider. Was like, this ain't it. Got to upgrade. Came across the Rhino. And, I don't think I used it enough. I think every time I thought of using it, I could easily manipulate the movement with a gimbal, and it was just more efficient to use a gimbal. So for me, it's the slider.
Now, I know for both of you guys, because this was something I experienced with you virtually, Justin, and I think we talked about this when we actually met a couple months ago in person, but Marcus, I know for sure you and I talked about this. The piece of gear that I currently don't own, but I feel is incredibly underrated, is the Easy Rig. Every time I take a job and I get a chance to use an Easy Rig, I feel like my life is just better. Like somehow having an easy rig on fixes finances. It fixes my marriage. My kids behave better.
Your
I
diet.
don't know. My diet is better. Like, I don't know what it is.
You get
but like
stronger in the gym.
Right. Like I feel swole. Like, like there's something about having the easy rig, and both of you guys put me on having an easy rig, and especially as an underrated piece of gear that I currently don't own. And I know you both love the easy rig, but aside from the easy rig, what is a piece of gear that you guys currently think is underrated? Something that like the YouTubes aren't talking about enough, that, your typical Instagram filmmaker isn't, highly publicizing. I mean, yeah, everybody talks about the cameras, everybody talks about, lenses, but like, what's a piece of gear that you currently feel is just like currently just going under the radar? Justin, I'll let you go first on this one, but what's that piece of gear for you right now that like, you're just like, I love this thing?
Let me ask a question. Does this piece of gear have to be a product itself, or could it be like a feature within a product? Does that make sense?
Ooh, I like that. All right, I don't know, but sure, this is live, so do whatever you want, bro. If it's a feature, let it roll.
Throw it out there, and then I'll further like, maybe justify it afterwards. But for me, I'm gonna say like the best piece of gear that I think I've come across in my journey that I will not substitute my A cam or B cam of not having is the ability to film in RAW. So I feel like that, obviously I'm wearing the shirt, so I'm about to say I already know where this is going. Let me take a sip from my coffee just in case y'all forgot.
Is he drinking the tears of the Black Magic owners? What is you doing over there, bro?
Man,
You didn't even wait.
I think it is. I think the ability to film in RAW is the most underrated part of, and I'm gonna even further put it as run and gun filmmakers. Because I think when people think of RAW, they think of, oh, you got to have this professional set and this, that, and the other. And all I think about is how far I'm able to push my image because I don't have control when I'm shooting. And so having a camera that can film in RAW and have this flexibility to polish the image, you know what I mean? To really manipulate it and make it look as if you did light it perfectly, or as if you did get perfect skin tones and you did get the perfect white balance. I think being able to do that later, because you're in a run and gun scenario where, like, even for me shooting a wedding, sometimes I don't have time to quickly adjust my white balance to catch this interview of the dad or of the mom or somebody. And so I just got to go. But I know my camera's got my back. So when I get to post, cool, no harm done. I can tweak it and it looks like I nailed it in camera.
Okay, now I got to ask a follow-up question before I let Marcus go. But I know you have tons of experience, with the Black Magic system, shooting on the Ursa. And now I've seen you. We've all seen you. We've all seen it. We've seen it.
Talking about.
Marcus has seen it. You got it plastered on your chest. You now jumped over to the red RAW workflow. And I'm not going to lie. I did the exact same journey. I went Black Magic, and now I'm shooting on a lot of reds. And so the question becomes, that RAW workflow, do you see a difference between the two? And if so, where does that difference really show up the most for you?
Oh man, like working with red RAW versus Black Magic RAW?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. What's that difference like for you?
Oh man, night and day difference. Like, I thought I had it all. I thought I had the beautiful house and the white picket fence, and I was living life with the Black Magic. Had no intentions. Like, there was nothing to me that needed to be better. There was nothing that could get better. I thought the gap difference from even Black Magic to red was marginal. But man, 16-bit RAW is an entirely different post-production experience. Like, having the ability to take someone who was lit by horrible tungsten lighting standing right next to a window and perfectly fix both sides of the white balance and the skin, dude, you're talking about a limitless post-production opportunity. And for me, I thought my Black Magic could do that until I shot with the red. Like, I knew that they sold me on the specs, and I thought that was great. But then being able to use it and being able to, go in and use a qualifier and pull skin and, you know, change the back orange wall or fix this white that's got this green spill and like really, really fine tune it where it knew the colors I was trying to grab. Like that, like you have to use it to truly understand like its benefits. And I think, I'm just gonna say this real quick before I get cut off, but I truly think that people are gonna fight raw and are fighting raw just like when people were fighting switching from 1080p to filming in 4K. I think that same thing is happening where we're gonna see everybody's gonna fight it and they're gonna say, oh, you don't need raw, you don't need raw. And I give it a matter of years, every camera, the only ability will be able to film in raw because it's gonna be that much, like it's gonna be a requirement. We're gonna require it as creators to be able to have the ability to shoot in raw.
All right. So that is a very hot take. A lot of hot takes there. Now, I'm gonna let you defend yourself when we get into some more gear stuff here. But Marcus, I've given you some time to think this over. Obviously, Mr. Porter is 100% biased on raw, and more importantly, red raw. All right, he's drinking the Kool-Aid right now, guys.
Right now.
Watch this. This is live.
Whatever
He's drinking
that is,
that Kool-Aid right now.
Red Kool-Aid.
I'm not gonna lie. I've sipped it. It tastes good. Marcus, I gotta ask you, what is a piece of gear right now? Or Mr. Porter has opened this up to features. What is a feature that is currently underrated, that is currently just being slept on in the industry by filmmakers, videographers, content creators? What's that feature like for you right now?
Oh man. Sheesh. I don't think it's necessarily a feature because like most of these cameras can do a lot of the same thing. I think for me though, it's a couple of things, but to me, lighting is like the most underrated. I've seen plenty of people send me clips of things to kind of look at, and immediately I can tell that they don't have an emphasis on lighting at all. You know, their thing was just, hey, I shot this with the C70. What do you think? And I'm like, okay, you shooting it on that camera really didn't do anything to make me want to look at this. But I'm looking at the image and it's like, you didn't light it right. You know, so then it really destroys the image. So I don't think there's enough emphasis on lighting. I think it's really underrated. And the second thing I was going to say, which I don't hear anyone talking about, are lav mics.
Ooh, he brought up your mics.
Yeah, lav
brought
mics.
up your mics.
I don't think lav mics. I think they're so underrated. And you know what I think? You know, because we're in the era now where
I know you
like,
are.
Let me go.
I know
they're cleaning up audio with AI, and I think like even some of these lower, you know, prosumer mics have made it acceptable audio that people don't think that they really need, you know, really good lav mics. Expensive, but high quality lav mics.
No, I know you're itching because you are Mr. 100 Lavs himself. I want to preference this in case anybody doesn't know. I remember I was talking to you. It was at like a party at Vid Summit, and you told me that you would easily show up at a wedding with 10, 15 lavs and lav everybody. 17 lavs. His wife increased the budget.
Bro, I was working with him.
That's right. Y'all shot a wedding
a couple
together.
weeks ago. And soon as he touches down, it's this thing. Like he'll scour the room, and then whoever has the best conversation, he was like, yeah, let me get a mic on you. And these mics are just coming out of he mics up everybody.
So Mr. Lav himself, you think lavs are currently underrated? And do you think people are just not bringing enough lavs out there? I think 17, chat, let us know. Is 17 excessive? Is 17 lavs for a wedding excessive? Or is he doing what it takes to be different? I want y'all to answer that question in the chat, but I'll let you answer that question, Mr. Porter. Is 17 excessive? Is 17 overrated? Where's the line?
I think,
is it 10
I think it
underrated?
just depends. I feel like if you are shooting, I feel like depending on what you're filming, if dialogue can be, if there's not one hero in the story, right? Like let's paint it that way. I shoot weddings. So even though the main two people is the bride and groom, they're sharing the spotlight with everybody that's there. And so at any point, you know, a cousin, a best friend, mom, grandma, grandpa, somebody can say something, and that dialogue now becomes part of the A roll. I'm not going to say that lavs in general, I'm not going to single out lavs and say that those are underrated, people are sleeping on them. I'm going to say that people are sleeping on audio gear in general. It's not one of the fun purchases. Like, you don't go out and spend $400 on a Sanken Cos 11D and go, "Ooh, I'm so you don't feel that. You know what I mean? Like, you unbox a Red camera and you instantly feel like you just got better. But you don't have that same satisfaction opening up a Rode NTG3 or Sennheiser MKH 416. Like, it doesn't carry the same weight. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that also no one compliments you and goes, dang, Marcus, I watched your doc, bro. That's so sick. Your audio was so clear. Nobody compliments how good your audio is.
I don't know. Because if I watched the doc and the audio was bad, it would turn me away. Like, I wouldn't even get through it.
But I think that's his point, is that
that's the point.
That, like, when your audio is good, that's just like the barrier, which is why he thinks 17. I saw a chat up there that said 17 ain't enough. I'm micing the dog. Like, I think the point, which, you know, dogs are important for you, Mark.
I get
but I think the point then becomes is that, like, audio is just one of those areas where you can't fail. Because somebody else put in the chat, I think it was Mr. Camera Junkie. Let's see if we can get that pulled up. But it basically says that bad audio is unwatchable, which is like, it sounds weird to anybody who's not in our space. But I think that's 100% the point, is that, like, if you have bad audio, your video is unwatchable. And so it doesn't matter. I think, you know, going back to, you know, the underrated points that both of you guys made, whether that's raw image quality, your image looks amazing, or the lighting is on point. Like, I know we got Rob in the chat. I know we got Tommy in the chat. And those are two guys who I look up to constantly when it comes to lighting. And I'm always looking for their, you know, input. But I do believe at the end of the day, like, if the audio is trash, it doesn't matter if you're shooting it on a Red that has 16-bit RAW, or you have every aperture light in the kit. If your audio is trash and you're trying to use AI to try to fix it, which, as we all know, is hit or miss, especially right now. Hope, you know, in the future, we'll see. But I think the point is that audio, literally, like, as this point here says, audio carries the story. And I think that is so true. And so when you think about pulling 17 mics up, I think, and this is me sort of dissecting you for a second, Mr. Porter, is that because your mind is weddings, and don't get me wrong, your weddings are amazing. I mean, literally, you say Netflix style weddings, they should be on Netflix. Like, facts. I see a day where, like, the only people hiring you are celebrities. Like, that's just where I see you. But I think you are setting yourself up for the greatest success by kind of going overboard. But that overboard just makes sure that you produce the best quality product that you can. Yeah. And I think, like, you know, as we start thinking about gear that's overrated and underrated, the one thing that kind of keeps coming back to my mind with both of you guys' inputs and the gear that we're talking a little bit about is just that it's really about picking the right tool. And the reason why some pieces of gear end up feeling under or overrated is because maybe it's just not the right tool for you. Like, I'll be honest. Hopefully, unless I decide to go out and shoot with you, Mr. Porter, there's no reason for me to show up anywhere with 17 lav mics. Like, that just sounds super overrated to me. But that's because that's not a need that I need for my creative endeavor. Yeah. And I think what we're all getting to here is, and something that, Marcus, you mentioned before, was that, you know, story drives everything. And I think story even is driving whether gear is overrated or underrated. Would you agree?
I agree. I totally agree. You know, even with me, I know we probably going to talk about this in a different part of this show, but, you know, once I figured out I wanted to shoot documentaries, my perception about gear changed. You know, I didn't I was looking at RGB lighting and all this other stuff prior to that decision. But after I chose documentary, I didn't care about RGB lighting anymore, or I didn't care about owning the 1200D anymore, because like the lighting situations that I'm typically involved with doesn't require output like that. I'm typically in people's homes. I don't need 8 by, diffusion panels or, a 1200D. I need a simple kit that can get the job done so I can focus on the actual story.
Yeah. And I think, Mr. Porter, I think that's the thing that really drew me to your content, was the fact that like whenever you get excited about a piece of gear, every video I saw you excited about, it was always like, oh, this is going to allow me to level up my wedding films. Like, oh, this easy rig now allows me to level up my wedding films. Or, oh, now that I have like this big pole, I can get lighting up into the air on the dance floor. And now we can get, better shots during the reception. Or bringing 17 microphones now allows me to make sure I capture all the little stories. Because I think as a wedding filmmaker, and I think a lot of people in the chat, if you've ever tried to shoot a wedding, can attest to, is that when you show up to the wedding, you have a general idea of the story, but you don't truly know what the full story is going to be yet, because it's literally unfolding in front of you. And that's the one reason why I really thought that having both of you guys on the chat today was going to be so impactful, because you both basically are shooting documentaries. I mean, I know, Marcus, you're actually shooting, more narrative documentaries, but realistically, Justin, the way that you shoot your weddings, they're pretty much like Netflix documentaries.
Well, I love when Marcus said that. He said, when I made the mind, or he shifted his mindset from whatever he was shooting to, I want to film documentaries, his perception on gear changed. And that's exactly that is exactly what happened to me. I went from, I'm not going to shoot weddings. I'm going to make documentaries. I'm going to shoot wedding. It just happens to be that two people are getting married. But my mindset, right? The same gear you show up to shoot your docs, I show up to the weddings with. And because of that, because of this mindset shift, I went from studying, oh, I'm going to shoot a wedding with this tool and that tool, to, okay, I need my camera in my hand way longer than I've ever needed it. How can I do that? Easy rig. You know what I mean? It just, things started to make sense in both technical and as far as the tool choice. Everything started to make sense. Everything started to click. It was, okay, I need to record audio of the bride. I never, ever mic the bride. How do we do this? I start digging. How do you mic women when they're in, a dress, or when they're in a robe, or, you know what I mean? When they have on like a 2-piece and they have like, how do you do this? And so I'm studying now to figure out, what tool do I need? Is it a leg strap? Is it a certain belt pouch? Is there a certain microphone? And I think because of that mindset shift, that made my purchasing decisions. Like, that became the focus. It wasn't, oh, I want to go buy a red camera, or I want to buy Blackmagic. It was, man, I hate that. At the time when I got my first Blackmagic, I couldn't push the colors. I couldn't fix skin tones. I hated that my skin tones were always out of whack. And I was dealing with 8-bit Sony footage. So I was like, all right, let's find another camera that can fix that. And up until Red, I've only been with that. So it's just changing the way I was thinking about what I was shooting. And like you said, Brandon, showing up with 17 mics for what you shoot makes no sense. It's overkill. It's like, that's dumb. Like, why would I do that? That's because what you're filming, one, you might not have 17 people to mic. You know what I mean? So it is something that I feel like, because we're talking about gear, it's something that I think a lot of us hear other people that we look up to talk about. They might, like even me, I might say you need Sanken Cost 11Ds, but if you're shooting fitness videos and you're not recording audio, do you need a $400? You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly. So it kind of, I really think like at the core of it, if we all started thinking about what we're passionate about with our camera, what the end goal is, that end goal should determine, okay, what obstacles get in the way of me achieving that? Okay, I need to hold my camera, cool. I need to hold it for 10 hours. What tools allow me to do that with ease? Easy rig, ergo rig, ready rig. Which tool is going to be more efficient? Right. Which tool is going to be faster if I got to set it down and pick it up? Like, so that, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but you get where I'm going. Like, that's
I think in this
that
comment,
mindset Marcus
right,
did.
this comment right here, actually, I think he sums up exactly what you're saying, which is gear is a tool and you buy the tool to solve a problem. And I think as filmmakers, I think what sort of like can like drive us crazy is like filmmaking is a journey. And so the problems that need to be solved at different points in those journeys change. So therefore the gear that we ultimately buy changes. You know what I mean? And what we need changes. And I think sometimes, I know I'm 100% guilty of this, and so I would just put myself out there on this one. But like when it comes to like making YouTube videos about gear, I try my best to sort of like when I say like, oh, who is this for? I try to put in, you know, what problems this piece of gear solves. But like every time we watch YouTube videos and something is like being promoted as like this amazing new piece of gear, sometimes we overly put ourselves on the person whose video we're watching, and we're like, oh, this solved their problem, therefore I should buy this thing for me too. But it's like, wait a minute, do I have the same problem?
Yeah.
Is my problem 100% in line with them? And is my problem valued at the same value as their problem?
Yeah.
Because like if I were going to shoot a wedding like tomorrow, for example, the value of my problem of shooting that wedding probably isn't 17 microphones. It might be 4, but it's not 17 right now, you know? And so like, I think a lot of times it's not only consuming the content about the gear, but it's also about really aligning the problem to solution ratio to let you know if that's the type of gear you should be picking up.
Absolutely. And it takes, to me, it takes sometimes logging off of social media, you know, because we can be heavily influenced by what we see.
Yeah.
And sometimes just renting the piece of gear, or, you know, like when I bought the C70 from you.
Yep.
You let me try it. You know, and I fell in love with it. You know? And I was like, yo, I want this. But I don't think I would have bought it if I didn't try it.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I think my journey was like, you know, I think I was using Sony prior to using Blackmagic, and I was waiting for years for the A7S III to come out. For years. And in that delay, so many other cameras came out that was capable, you know, and I just switched, you know, everything. And then when I moved here and I said I wanted to get into documentary, there was 2 cameras. It was either the FX6 or the C70. Those are the only 2 cameras I was looking at. And the FX6 was like a unicorn. You couldn't even buy it. You know, it went into like a back order the second it dropped. And you had the C70, and I said, you know what? Let me try this out. We went downtown. I think I shot in like 1080 or something. And that video got like so many likes and stuff on social media. And I was like, yo, I gotta have this camera. Gave you every dime I had and got that camera. But it solved so many problems that I didn't even have yet, because I just now got into the documentary space. And the fact that it had the tools that it had, the feature set that it had, the dynamic range, everything I needed for mic inputs and stuff like that, it was a perfect tool for documentary work.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, guys. So we're going to get ready to move into another segment here really soon, really quick. But before we do, I'm going to let you guys both hop up one last time, defend your opinions on gear, give the audience, give the people your final thoughts, because I know there's a lot of people in here who probably spent a ton of money on gear, and just give them some words of wisdom. Mr. Porter, I'll let you go first, but just give them some words of wisdom on how they should be looking at gear, and ultimately how you look at gear and sort of determine what's the most valuable for you.
All right, so my quick little 30-second take, I'm going to say buy gear, treat it as an investment, right? And really like think about the investment, because people will reach out to me and they'll say, I'm just going to use the lav mic example. Hey, is this, you know, Rode Link lav any good? And I'm like, yeah, it's decent, but it breaks very easy, and it's not like the best sounding mic. If you're going to invest in your craft, if you're really going to buy gear that you should expect anyway to last years, I would buy things that are already proven and tested, battle tested to be, I use the term industry standard, right? I looked up, what do they shoot wedding or reality TV shows with? And Sank and Cost 11D popped up everywhere. And I'm like, all right, if this is industry standard, then let's test it, let's see. And I was blown away with the sound quality. So my advice would be don't just think you need something, whether it's lighting, a camera, a lens, microphones. Like, really think about the investment. If you're gonna buy, if you're gonna spend the money, like my dad always said this, if you're gonna spend the money, spend it once. If the light that you really want is $200 more, just wait, hold the money, save it, and then invest in that light. So that's my advice. Invest and spend the money once.
Real quick, as y'all know here on the channel, one of our big mottos is buy nice or buy it twice. And that's pretty much exactly what he's saying right now. Buy nice or buy twice. Want to give a huge shout out. Good friend, Cam Mackey in the chat. Yeah, we bougie, but we see your gear too. We see your gear too. You on YouTube. You've been posting mad consistent. You bougie too. So you join the club. We'll have you on one of these live streams to defend yourself real soon. Real soon. And as a fellow Bronco brother, I love the videos you're putting out. So appreciate you, Cam. All right, Marcus, on you. Last take.
Yeah, first of all, I've been watching Cam since he was rocking the Fuji XT3. Yeah, so that's dope that he's on here. But something he did mention that gear is highly oversaturated in this industry. It's so many tools, it kind of doesn't make any sense. Like Justin was sharing, I do believe in buy once, cry once. That's the model I've been taught, but not with everything. There's so many people that want to get into this space for whatever reasons, and they just don't have the budget, for big time industry standard gear. So you may have to buy something every 2 years or 3 years or whenever it breaks when you're first getting started. So because those are the type of people that follow me, my message to them is, you're going to go through your experimental phase of trying to figure out what it is that you love about this industry and love to shoot the most. But quickly find out what that is, because you'll be saving yourself a lot of money, a lot of headache, a lot of time on YouTube researching certain gear and certain whatever. The faster you figure out what do you want to do in this space, the better it is for you. So like if you want to be a photographer, and you don't want to shoot video, you just realize it's easier to do photography than it is video, coming up to that decision fast will save you a bunch of money. And now you can focus on the whole art of storytelling through your camera and photography. Or, if you want to be a documentary guy like me, coming up to that decision really quick will make you not make all these stupid camera purchases, and you can study the art of telling documentaries, the art of storytelling. I just think more of us should focus less on gear and more on the profession in the craft around crafting a perfect story. Because once you have that, it don't matter what camera you get. It doesn't matter. I think I'm pretty cool at saying this without sounding cocky. But if you give me any camera, I'm gonna tell that story. But if I don't know how to tell a story, I don't care what camera you give me, what lights you give me, the story's booty, the story's gonna be booty. So
Facts.
That's my, I know it's longer than 60 seconds, but that's my advice.
No, and I appreciate that. And that's the reason why I asked you guys to really be on here today, because I know, both of you guys keep it real. We all have real conversations with one another. And that's the whole point of like this live stream, is to take those real conversations that we have off YouTube, off the internet, off Instagram, and put them online. So that way people can hear like how we really think. And I know it's hard to sometimes encapsulate all this into a 60-second reel. I know me and Justin were talking about this morning. We were like, it's hard to like be excited about a piece of gear, but then give all this context in 60 seconds on TikTok, you know? And so it's the whole point that we do this. But thank you guys so much for giving that advice. It is time for something that I'm pretty excited about. We've done this before, but this is my first time having a nice little intro. So I'm excited about this one. This is a game. We're trying to bring games to the live stream. And so today, since I've got two amazing guys who love gear and who love filmmaking, we're going to play a nice little fun game of overrated, underrated. Yeah, we doing too much out here. We doing way too.
That's sick though, man. I like it. I like it.
We got video transitions up in here. All right, we only got that one. But no, really, really excited about this game. Overrated, underrated. All right, so I'm gonna pull up Marcus. I'm gonna pull you up on stream. And we're gonna make this game super, super simple. So here's how it's gonna work. I am going to announce. I'm gonna announce a topic, and then and y'all gotta do this in less than 3 seconds. You just gotta say if it's overrated, underrated. You got it?
Got it.
Now I want to hear your answers, and I might ask some follow-ups.
Okay.
And if y'all talk at the same time, talk at the same time. But in less than 3 seconds, you got to tell me overrated, underrated. Don't overthink it. First thing that comes to your mind, trust your gut. Trust your gut. The people want to know what your gut answer is. All right. So,
Let's go.
And chat, do me a huge favor. Be sure. Oh, I love that, Scott. I appreciate that. He said transitions underrated. That's how we gonna start this. Transitions are underrated. I appreciate you, Scott. All right, here we go. Overrated, underrated, less than 3 seconds. Give me your answer. Chat. We've done this before, so y'all have to do this for me because it just sort of helps. If you want to sound off on if something is underrated or overrated, you have to put what it is and then put overrated, underrated. Because last time people were just chatting underrated. I didn't know to what. We were moving too fast. So put what the thing is and tell me your opinion. I want to know in the chat. Let's get it going. All right, Marcus, you ready?
Let's go.
Mr. Porter, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First item on the list. Film cameras, overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Overrated.
Oh, double overrated to get it started. All right, here we go. Red cameras, DSMC3, overrated, underrated.
Underrated. Marcus, I'm gonna block you.
I heard the truth already slipping out. Go with your gut.
Right?
Go with your gut, Marcus. Say what you was about to say.
On,
Say it with your
And
chest.
say it with your chest.
Go with God, bro. Go with God, man. Just that Christian like.
Overrated, underrated.
Underrated. No, overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah, there we go. All right,
Overrated.
moving on. Underrated.
All right,
Next one.
No.
Overrated.
He said them red cameras is overrated. We got a split decision just getting started. All right, here we go. Next one. Apple Log.
Overrated.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay. Overrated on the log,
Yeah,
Mark.
I was
Overrated.
actually pretty impressed
It's
with
a phone, bro.
It's a
I was impressed with the
phone,
15 though. Ooh.
It's a phone.
But
Ooh.
Marcus said it's a phone, bruh.
But isn't this the same Marcus that said, "Give me any camera and I'm gonna tell that story"?
That's why I said
Can
it's
we
a
run
phone.
that back? We need to figure
can
out
we
instant
rewind?
replays.
We got rewind.
Well,
That's coming next week. We're gonna figure out instant replays on here.
bro, it's a phone.
All right, moving
It's a
on.
camera.
Moving on. Here we go. Nikon Z8. Overrated, underrated.
Underrated.
Overrated. Overrated.
Bro, all right, so it was nice having you, Mr. Porter. Thank you so much for joining. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm jumping in. Z8 is underrated. I don't care what y'all say.
Underrated.
Actually, I feel like I need to just be indecisive because, to be honest, I hadn't done a ton of on paper. The camera looks phenomenal, but I hadn't done a ton of research. I hadn't watched any product reviews on it, so like I feel like for me, I gotta just be unbiased.
All right. Here we go. Moving on. I'm about to start kicking people out the chat.
Yeah.
People talking trash on my Z8. Get out of here. All right, here we go. Next one up. 4K 120. Overrated.
Overrated.
Overrated. I'm inclined to agree. Here we go.
120 anything is overrated.
120 anything. Gimbals. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Overrated.
All right. Moving on. Open Gate. Overrated.
Underrated.
Yeah, definitely underrated. 100%. I didn't know I needed it
Until you have it,
until I got
like
that
the Fuji
S5 Mark II.
X-H2S.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm
Didn't know I
gonna
needed
blame Rob if he's still in the chat right now. Rob and I shot some stuff, and he had that Alexa Mini LF, and bro, that Open Gate, it's different. It hits
It's different.
different.
It's different. It hits way different.
All right, next one. 8K RAW. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Underrated.
Over.
Oh my God, I'm done. I'm out. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Underrated.
Okay.
Under.
Let's
Nah,
move. Let's
I'm
move. Next
over
one
with
up. Next one up. Vertical video. Overrated, underrated.
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 Underrated. Okay. Vertical videos underrated. Here we go. Next one. Big one. The Sony A9 III.
Overrated.
No comment.
What'd you say, Marcus?
Yeah, I have no comment. I don't even follow that camera. I never even.
Oh, so
Overrated.
Yeah.
y'all just throwing Sony out. All right, here we go. Next one. This one is the one that makes everybody a professional filmmaker. You ready? Matte boxes. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Underrated and not used properly.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Underrated if not used properly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's keep it going.
I'll agree with that.
Here we go. One for both of y'all. Cinema lenses. Overrated, underrated.
Under.
Ah,
Rated.
man. I'm gonna say, dude, that's tough because like I love the focus throw of a cinema lens, but because of what I film, I need a zoom. Like my job requires a zoom. You know what I mean? With OIS, optical image stabilization. So it's not overrated or underrated. I think it's I don't know, man. I think it depends. Like that's a tough one.
Give the people an answer.
All right. If I had to just pick, I'm gonna say it is definitely underrated because I don't see a lot of people using them. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. Underrated.
All right, here we go. Next one. Autofocus. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Sheesh.
I got two doc
Me and Marcus
filmmakers.
gonna fight. Hey, we gonna go to the gym next time, bro. Like this, the next one.
No,
gonna have
because
to
like
be-
I saw on your stories, Brandon, Red just introduced face, right?
Yep.
Right. So if it wasn't needed, like why? So like I'm gonna still say overrated,
Overrated. Okay.
even though I love it.
Yep.
Even though he loves it, autofocus is overrated. All right, here we go. Next one up. DaVinci Resolve. Underrated, overrated.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay. Y'all can be friends. Y'all can agree on stuff.
Yeah,
Y'all
we
doing
agree on
good.
stuff.
All right.
The
next.
scale is not even unbalanced, bro. So I'm more your friend than I am your enemy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We're almost back to a level playing field.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Last few. Internal NDs. Underrated, overrated. Underrated. Okay. Next one. ProMIS filters. Underrated.
Overrated.
Ooh, he didn't even let me finish.
That go in the same category as a matte box. Like everybody buy a matte box and a ProMIS filter. It just goes hand in hand. Yeah, overrated.
Okay. All right. And the last one, filmmaking education. Overrated, underrated.
Underrated.
Ooh, Marcus is torn here. Is the education overrated or underrated, Marcus? You got less than a second.
Are we
It's
talking about the
underrated,
education that's
but it's just overly saturated
Yeah.
with people
that
that
part.
just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
but education is underrated.
Education is underrated. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys playing overrated, underrated. Chat, let me know, who did you agree with more? Was it my good friend Marcus? Was it my good friend Porter? You guys gotta let me know who was tripping. Who was tripping? Because I mean, a couple of y'all answers, I thought y'all both was tripping.
Hey, one question. I just curveball. This one for you, Brandon.
Oh Lord,
This is for you.
This is my show.
Overrated.
This is my show.
I know. Yeah, you didn't know this was gonna happen. I didn't know it was gonna happen. This is a curveball. Am I allowed to do this? I don't know.
We'll see. I might kick you off this.
I know. No, it's a good one. It's a good one.
His finger is on the trigger.
Underrated?
I'm ready to cut you off.
He's about to eat.
I'm gonna hit
It's
the
a good
eject
one,
button.
It's a good one.
Eject those seats, cuz I got one right here. You out real quick. No, go ahead.
It is. I think this is a good one because I believe in it. But all right. Overrated, underrated. Practicing, like simple practice.
Ooh, massively underrated.
Underrated
practice. I mean, that's actually so. Like, ironically, I know now. You look at the channel and you look at the live stream and the content, subscribers, and all that stuff. But YouTube, for me, first and foremost, became the place that I went to practice, because I realized that, like, if I only shot when clients hired me to shoot, I wasn't going to shoot that much when I was first getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to take me way longer to get better. So I went to YouTube to practice. If you go far enough back, this is telling. This is massively telling. But you will see that some of my YouTube videos were shot with ring lights. And you can see the rings in my eyes like I'm shooting an 80s music video. And somebody in my comment section was like, dude, get a real light. How are you going to talk about filmmaking and you're making your videos with a ring light? Gut checked. You feel me? Gut checked. But it forced me to go learn something new. And literally with every video, every time I would get feedback about my audio, about camera placement, I used to frame myself terribly. I would cut my forehead off because I thought I wanted this really cool tight shot. And someone was like, dude, give yourself some headroom. And I was like, oh, headroom. Yeah, that makes sense. I could always just punch in as I need to. And so practicing on YouTube for me was where I really honed my skills. It made me better at client work because I would practice. I would try audio techniques. I try lighting techniques. I tried top-down lighting, which now has become one of my favorite type of lighting techniques. But had I not practiced that for YouTube, would have never thought to try that on a client, especially for a paying gig. So by far, I wholeheartedly agree. Practicing is completely underrated. And if you are a filmmaker and you're not practicing, I'm not sure if you're, doing yourself a full service to your craft. So that's my opinion. That's okay. You will not be ejected from this live stream for right now.
We made it. We made it.
That's a good question.
All right. Now, we have been running for a little bit, roughly about an hour here, but I do want to quickly just say thank you so much, Mr. Porter, for hanging out with us, playing the game, overrated, underrated. Thank you for your insights on the gear. Feel free and hang out. Guys in the chat, Mr. Porter will still be kind of hanging out. He'll be popping in and out. But for a second, and I know we had talked about this, Justin, is that we just wanted to give our good friend Marcus here his flowers because he just got an incredible accomplishment that I think anybody in the comment section, anybody who's a fan of his, anybody who shoots video in general would love to have this accomplishment, and you've been able to achieve it. And that is that you, for the first time, have your own documentary, or a documentary that you worked on, that is currently on the short list for an Oscar. So, dude, I mean, everybody in the chat right now, I just want to celebrate Marcus for a moment because this is a huge accomplishment for anybody. This is a dream. Yeah. And so to see your film on that short list, what has that been like for you?
Still processing it, because that wasn't the intent. The intent wasn't for it to do anything or like to win any awards or be nominated for any awards. Mm-hmm. The intent was to I was hired for a job that I really, and that the directors might be watching this right now, but completely honest with them, and they were great to give me this opportunity. This is my first documentary that I ever DP'd, and it was about a topic that I really wasn't interested in, at the beginning, because it was about dogs and cats and the stray population in Houston, and but I wanted to challenge myself. and I shot it on a camera system that I really wasn't. I mean, I've used it, and one of the reasons I was hired for the job is because I was using the Blackmagic Pocket 4Ks and 6Ks. I owned the cameras,
Right.
and the directors wanted to use that camera, and no autofocus, no stabilization, none of that, and I had to get in and out of cars, chasing dogs.
Like what is that experience like? Because I mean, you don't make the film thinking you're gonna get on the list.
No.
You go out there, you're just getting hired to be a DP basically, right?
Yeah.
And now that you've gone through the entire journey, I mean, because is this your first feature?
That's the first feature.
So your first feature, you get on the list. That's a pretty nice bar to start.
That's crazy. But again, I didn't know.
Right.
The project took like a year to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
They hired me for the whole year, and it was a great opportunity. The pay was good, but it really wasn't the thing. I think after like a few months, I treated it like it was my project. Like I was the one. Like me and the directors, we were on the same page by that time. They understood my my style, and which I didn't even understand, at the time. But they saw it, and
so they saw something in you that you didn't even see in yourself.
I didn't even see. No, because I do this because I just love the art. I wasn't really locked in on anything else.
So now that the documentary has been shot, it's edited, it's out there, and we'll find a way to link that up for people, especially on the rewatch.
Yeah.
What does this experience mean to you now? That like is there something that you're pulling away from this experience? Because like the truth is a lot of times I think everybody goes into a film hoping to make something amazing, right? Like we're all artists.
Yeah.
So like we go into it with the mindset of trying to make something great, and we're putting our best foot forward. But when you're out there on the streets filming the dogs, doing the interviews, you don't know that you're going to end up on this list. So like, how does that change your mindset now about projects going forward? Because I mean, tomorrow, next week, and the next 3 weeks, you'll be working on another project, and you don't know where that project could end.
Mm-hmm.
So how is ending up on this list sort of change your approach to how you film things? Or are you saying, operating a status quo?
What I'm gonna do, because if we're working on another project, prayerfully it's gonna go down next month. Same directors, same producers, and what's helping me is to not think about the list. I don't care. I think what got this here was a collective effort, and it was me giving my best every day. So there were days like, I mean, bro, it was a whole year. You know how Houston gets 110 degrees, 115
Tell me
degrees.
about it, bro.
And I'm out there on Fifth Ward in the projects, because that's where there's a high concentration of stray animals. And I got to get out there with my kit, no audio engineer. I was the audio engineer and the DP, so I had to make sure that whoever our characters were, they were mic'd. I'm listening, I'm chasing, I'm focusing, and I didn't feel like it. On a lot of days, I just didn't feel like it. And there were some days where it was like 30 degrees outside. I didn't feel like holding the camera,
So what got you through those days though? I mean, like you say, I get it. When you're working on a film, the first couple days, they're exciting, but then after a while, it becomes a job. So like, was it the story? Was it the people? Like, what made you pick up your camera on those days where you felt like, I'm not really sure I really want to hold my camera right now?
Discipline and responsibility. That was it. This story couldn't be told without me. So days, what I'm going to do is say, oh, I can't do it today. And these, the directors, they came in from Dallas, just to spend time in Houston, and we had this schedule. So it didn't matter. I think my approach was just like somebody playing in the NBA. You know, it
Got it.
doesn't matter how they feel. You know, they got to still come out there and perform their best. And that's what I did. I just chucked it up. Personal problems sometime at home. I have a son who has autism. So, you know, the mental health aspect in raising him, you know, it messed with me. It bothered me a lot. But when I walked out the house and I charged up the camera and I got on the set or on the street,
Yeah,
you know,
the set was the
the
streets.
set was the street.
It wasn't a
most
street.
times.
It was the
Yeah,
streets.
the streets.
The streets.
Yeah. I had to put all that stuff to the side and tell myself that I have to do the best job possible today. And
Yeah.
that was it.
And
when we got the news, bro, I was like, what? I was like, what does this mean? And it was real. And it was just a bunch of people who was passionate about the topic, getting the right team, and us just getting the job done. That was it.
Dude, well, I just want everybody in the chat has been sounding off and you know, applauding you and the team for making this happen. Really quick, what I want to do for the chat specifically is I want to open up this opportunity for questions. I believe Justin is still hanging out with us as well, and so we're gonna let some questions start rolling through. So if you guys have questions for Marcus or for Justin, go ahead and start sounding those off in the chat. But one question that I actually have for you to sort of kick this whole thing off is, as a filmmaker, right? Like, I know you're currently in the middle of working on your documentary film, right? So you did the one that's currently on the short list.
Yep.
And now you're actually working on one. You kind of mentioned it with your son having autism, and you're working on a documentary about autism and about how autism affects families and just like that journey. But I would love to know, like, how did you, and if Justin's here, I'll ask him the same question. But for you, what was the switch? What was the decision? Like, how did you decide documentaries for me is where it's at? That's what I want. That's where my artistic drive pulls me, because you could do a lot of things. You could do weddings, do music videos, corporate videos.
Mhm.
I mean, you could do narrative films, but for you, you chose documentary. So from a creative decision-making process, what drove you to documentaries and made you want to go that route?
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure, well, I guess the easy answer is I had to kind of like know myself. I shot everything, bro. Like, I shot music videos, food, restaurants, narrative, you know, short films, corporate stuff. I still shoot corporate stuff. I shot it. I shot everything. And the only thing that meant something to me was when I shot whatever the topic was and allow someone else to share their story, their real story. You know, I was the type of kid, bro, that used to draw comic books. Me and my brother, and we would draw comic books. And when I got older, I got asked the question, like, why did you do that? You know, and it was my way to escape my own reality and create something where I can go into someone else's. That was just it.
That's good.
And I couldn't do that with restaurants, with food. You know, I just couldn't do that with corporate training videos. But when I shot a documentary and I sat down with a person that I only talked to on the phone and allowed them to share their story, it was like a portal into their world. And that was a way for me to escape. So shooting the dogs, I didn't know anything about dogs. I didn't even know anything about that there was an issue in Houston. But now sitting and interviewing the feeders that actually feed the dogs, the rescuers, you know, the people that adopt, the fosters, I didn't know anything about this topic. And now I'm almost like an expert.
Yeah.
You know, entering someone else's reality and truth. And that triggered something within me. So then I had the decision to make. I can go hardcore into this, or I could continue wasting time chasing a check.
Okay.
And I did the check chasing thing for a while, but every night I just didn't feel something.
Yeah, there was that itch, that internal drive. You knew you were created for something better.
Crave
and
for something
it
better.
was telling somebody, it was telling
Yeah.
those other stories.
Yeah.
Well, that's really awesome. Really quick, there's a question in the chat right now for the name of the documentary. So I'll let you kind of like tee up, like,
Oh.
what's the name of the documentary? Where can they find it? How can they check it out? Because like I think it's on iTunes and a couple other places.
Yeah.
So Marcus, let the people know where they can find your documentary.
It's everywhere. You can find it on Apple TV. It's called For the Animals. And you can find it on Apple TV. Hulu, is it on Hulu? No, not Hulu. Peacock, Tubi. There's a website called For the Animals Film, and it'll show you like a list, like 20 streaming sites that it's playing on right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get that linked up, and we'll get that posted in the comment section here in just a second. But that's really awesome. And I think that's really important. And here for a second, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up Justin. If you're still cool, I'll go ahead and pull you up. But I think finding that thing that drives you to want to keep creating is super important. And so, Justin, I'll ask you the same question. I mean, obviously, if anybody follows you, watches your content, we know that you're here for weddings. Like it's not a question. So I would love to know from you, like, what was it that really drove you to say, like, weddings is my thing?
Man, I gotta real quick just piggyback on what Marcus said, and I think that's the part for me that I think that's what fuels me, and that's, I don't do it for money. It's the money that I make from my weddings provides for my family, and that's great, but it is not the motivating reason for shooting weddings. It's not why I decide to take this client or take that client. I love to tell a story, and to be honest, weddings was not my thing. It wasn't really the end all for me. I had no intentions on staying in weddings. My passion is short films. I like to tell stories, regardless of what that is. Like it could be a commercial for a business. I want this commercial to be some sort of story, some sort of like here's the problem, here's the solution. I want there to be like some sort of narrative within it. With weddings, I think what really kind of pulled me in and is keeping me there is that what I'm doing hasn't been done. And then on top of that, the films that I'm able to create, the way I'm able to preserve these families' interactions and the relationships that these couples are sharing with their families on that day, that to me has way more reward than, oh, I just made a cool reality wedding film. Like I watched my films back, like the one we just posted, and there's a moment where the bride and her dad are together. And in my mind, because my dad passed away, all I'm saying to myself is, dude, anything ever happens to him, she's gonna be so happy she got that. Like that's like that type of joy and satisfaction pushes me to go, okay, this is why I don't care if I gotta take 20 mics or I gotta suction cup. Like Marcus, I had Marcus suction cup a camera in an empty room for 4 o'clock. It was like 10 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, bro, this is for 4 o'clock when the bride comes in here. We're going to put this suction cup on here and we're going to hit record. So when she's in here with her dad, if anything happens, we got it. This is why I do those things. And I think that kind of like what Marcus said, maybe it is like, it's like knowing that I'm doing something that they're going to benefit from years later, like hopefully a long time from now, knowing that because of my effort today is going to have something that they probably would never have, because I don't have any videos of my dad, I don't have his voice, I don't have voicemails, like none of this stuff. And I think because I know what that feels like, I know what that emptiness feels like. His birthday comes up, you want to watch something, you don't have anything. I think that driving force for me is why I continue to keep pushing so hard in weddings, and why I'm always so loud about mic people, record this, interview this talk to them, even if it's something that you think you won't use. I think that, kind of like what Marcus said, it opens up this portal. I don't know, like it's weird to kind of classify, but I think that feeling, it makes me feel like I'm doing something that's way beyond my love for filmmaking, which is why I haven't taken this skill and just gone out and teamed up with Marcus to shoot docs. It's like, yeah, I could do that, but I'm doing it right now in a space where it's not being done. And because of this efforts, I'm able to, one family at a time, preserve more than they probably would have. No one thinks about if something's going to happen to a family member, but I am. I'm at your wedding thinking, if this person doesn't make it, like, let me talk to them. Let me get something. What would you want to say to this person? Stuff like that. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of why I'm still in the wedding space. This is why I am now, like, at one point I hated saying I was a wedding filmmaker because I felt like my skills were past it. I feel like people look at wedding filmmakers as like low, just getting started, not really sure what they're doing. But to me, it's like, now I own it. I love it. I'm like, no, like, I'm a wedding filmmaker proudly because I know what I'm trying to do and what I'm pushing for with my couples.
I think that's awesome. And what I love from both of you guys is that it's deeper than gear. It's deeper than, just the idea of being a filmmaker. It's about finding that thing that like drives you, and that like you can't just let it go. Like, it doesn't go away, like that drive, like you said, Marcus, it keeps you up. You were thinking about it in bed before you go to sleep, and you be thinking about those stories that you should be telling. Or with you, Justin, like it hits deeper because it actually has like a personal relationship between you and your father. And like that drives you to want to kind of like we talked about earlier, Marcus, like, on the days where you don't want to go film, on the days where you don't want to necessarily go out there, when you have that internal drive, it really does push you forward. And I think that's really, really awesome. And I appreciate both of you guys for sharing that. Now, there were some questions that came through, and we'll definitely try to hit up on some of these. So let's go ahead and pull up this first one. So it says, Mr. Porter, what mics are you using? And also he wants to know what are those headphones that you got on?
These are the Sennheiser. I'm gonna have to send you a link later, Brandon. We gotta drop this. I had them for so long, to be honest. Like, they were open ear headphones. Sennheiser something, man. They sound amazing, great for editing. But I couldn't tell you though. I have to look up the make of them again.
All good, but you're bringing 17 mics on a wedding. What are they?
Yeah. So my main mics, so the recorders I'm using are discontinued. They're Deity BP TRXs. When I found out about them at the time, they were the only time code recorder you could get your hands on, because Tentacles were like the unicorn. Like, they were just gone. Like, you couldn't buy them. I waited like 2 months for them, and I still couldn't get them. And I was like, all right, forget it. I'll just get the Deities. But those are discontinued. The lapels that I use are Sanken COS 11Ds. So I have 5 of those, and I have 5 Sennheiser MKE 2s. And then my other 5 are, I call them like my floater mics. They're kind of like Rode Link lavs. They're the backup lavs, the Deity lavs that come with the Deity mics, like that stuff.
Okay. And now, Marcus, I know you do a lot of with your documentary stuff. You always have to kind of run and gun. Just quickly to try to piggyback on this, what type of microphones are you taking out?
Oh, mostly I got the same lavs Justin has. I have the MKE 2s. I got like 3 of those, and I have 2 COS 11Ds. And I guess the transmitter receiver kits, Sennheiser EWDPs.
Ooh, he got the model number.
Yeah, I got those. They sound great. And I got the Sennheiser AVX, and I got a new one that's coming out by Hollyland. I can't talk about it yet.
Oh, inside scoop.
Ooh, okay.
Inside scoop.
I'm gonna text you after this.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up another question here. All right, so it says, hey, Marcus, I don't have any mics till now. So should I go for a shotgun mic, like a Rode video mic, Micro 2, or should I go with a Zoom H1N audio recorder? I think everybody had that, which can shoot 24-bit for travel documentaries. So should we go with more of a recorder, or should we go with more of a shotgun mic? I know both of you guys kind of are in the same space. Quick answers?
Quick answer is kind of whatever's in your budget. Me personally, I wouldn't use the shotgun mic as your main mic. Like whoever your character is, you always lob them up, because the audio is always going to sound better. But I got the Sennheiser MKH 416, and only because I was always told that that's the GOAT mic to have for documentary. If you look it up online, best shotgun mic for documentary, that pops up.
Yeah.
That's the industry standard.
Yeah, it's industry standard. So I just saved, I saved, and it's got $1,000 mic, and it's been $1,000 for over 10 years. Like the price never drops on it.
Yeah.
Because it's that mic. So, but I'm not telling you to go buy $1,000 mic, but whatever you do, just don't have the shotgun as your main. Even if you're traveling, doing documentaries, whoever the character is, just mic them up.
All right, let's get another question.
Can I answer
that?
that?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
just a short snippet. I'm gonna disagree with Marcus, and not to be controversial, because I feel like filming a wedding is kind of, well, at least filming it the way that I film it is very much in line with a doc shooting. And very ironically, I am creating a video now that's talking about shotgun mics versus lavs, and I believe that a good shotgun mic, and I'm emphasis on good, so I'm not saying go out and buy a $50 on camera running gun shotgun mic. So emphasis on a good shotgun mic, I think, is more powerful, easier to get, and more versatile than going out and buying lavs. And the only reason why I say that is because when you get lavs, you run into two situations. You either, one, have to run time code so you can do it without worrying about dropouts, or two, you always got to be close enough to your talent, which in that case almost defeats the purpose. If you're right up on them all the time, you're within line of sight and you're trying to get this audio transmission, you might not be able to stay hidden so that they can act natural or be natural in a scene. I think shotgun mics allow you to be more, you're able to get more sound bites from whoever. If you lav one person, you're only focused on sound from that one person. But a good shotgun mic, you're now looking for, okay, dad says something, mom says something, or we'll use like a random doc scenario. My main person is talking to this other person. Now I can interview that other person. I don't have to worry about just having sound from my lav. So I believe if you have no audio gear, the first thing you should get should be a good shotgun mic. I bought my NTG3 when I had a Nikon D70-200, and that same NTG3 is on my Red. So.
All right. Let's pull one last question. We'll do one more after this one. So what was the documentary's total budget? Marcus, can you give us, do you even know that number?
I don't know that number.
Yeah, I think sometimes a lot of, like, when we get hired for these projects, we don't get the full scope. And I think that's just something for people to kind of, once you start getting into being hired as like a DP or whatever your role might be, gaffer, grip, whatever, PA even, you just get your day rate. You normally don't get the full budget for the entire project. Mm-hmm. So if you do happen to, get pulled up to do a documentary for yourself, don't expect to know the full number. All right, one last question, and let's run with it. This is a deep one. When it's time to retire, what will we do next? We'll run that around. I'll start because I'll give you guys a second, because I don't think my answer is going to be that popular. I don't think I will retire. I'll be honest. This is what I love to do. And I feel like God has absolutely blessed me to be able to support my family and to do this for a living. For me, retirement probably just looks like I say no to more clients that I don't really want to do those projects. And I just am able to focus on just true full passion projects. But I will honestly say that and I know somebody had asked, what drives me? And that was one of the questions that were in the chat too. And for me, what drives me, especially here on YouTube and with a lot of the content that I create, is just really trying to educate that next generation. And so for me, retirement just looks like helping the next generation any way I can, you know, whether that's educating in person, educating online, working films that I can then invite people out to learn in person, you know, inviting people out to get this experience, because I didn't know that this was an avenue that we could go down for like until I was out of high school for sure. And it probably wasn't until I was like maybe 25, 26 that I saw somebody who looked like me who was doing this. And so for me, it's really about, you know, what drives me is just the next generation, inspiring, educating, teaching, like just trying to get more people to know that this is an actual career path that you can take. And if you have the passion to do this, not only can you do it and learn the skills, but also it could be financially lucrative for you and your family and helping people along that journey. And so for me, I don't really know what retirement looks like, because honestly, I feel really blessed to be able to do what I'm currently doing full time and then take care of my family. And I enjoy this. And I've always heard like this statement of like, pursue a passion that you never want to retire from, you know? And I feel like I'm doing that. And I feel like it will change, you know, like the tech has changed. What I want to create has changed. I've definitely exported way more vertical videos than I have ever exported before. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, would that be the case? Absolutely not. I taught so many people how to hold their phone sideways, and now phones have rotated back, you know? So things will change. But I feel like that pursuit of telling stories and then educating the next generation on how to pursue this for themselves, and to kind of dispel that statement that like a starving artist, like I hate that so much. Like that drives me crazy. Like I literally believe that there should be no more starving artists, because our skill sets are valuable. I mean, there's a reason why every company has a marketing team and has a videographer on salary. Is because our skill set is valuable. And so I just want to show the next generation how valuable it can be and show them the skill set. And currently, I don't see a need to retire as long as I can keep doing this. So that's my answer. Hopefully that gave y'all a few seconds to think about what your answer would be. But yeah, I'll let you go, Marcus. What do you think? What do you think you'd want to do in retirement, or if you want to retire?
Yeah, no, I feel you. I was asked this question before in during the Clubhouse days.
Oh yeah.
You know, and my answer is going to be weird. To be honest, I don't even know if I see myself with a camera or anything that has to do with cameras, you know, 10 years from now, you know, because I'm an artist, right? I've dabbled in different things. I used to be an illustrator. I created comics, characters, sold, licensed. Right before we moved here, I owned an airbrush apparel company, and I used to airbrush on clothes, sneakers, murals. I got paid to do all that stuff. Had my own shop. We did retail sales, all that stuff. Then I picked up a camera, and then I jumped into photography, and then now I'm doing this with documentary because I love it. But I don't want to kind of pencil myself into this, you know, draw myself into this corner with just video and filmmaking. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing in the next 10 years. It's going to be in the creative space, possibly, and possibly it might be this, but I'm not going to be the 60-year-old. I'm not Stallone. I'm not going to have the big red camera you know, on a shoulder rig or the big Alexa LF. I don't want to be that guy, man. I don't want to, you know, be just chasing stories with a camera in my. I'm older than both of y'all, by the way. You know, so my
quick guessing game. How old do y'all
say
think?
the age,
Quick guessing game. How old do y'all think Marcus is? Put it in the chat. You're all gonna be wrong.
So you know, the time where retirement is supposed to be, you know, I'm closer to it than you guys. But I do see myself still educating, no matter what the art form is, because I hate the starving artist thing too. When I was back home, Connecticut, I used to have this thing called "No More Starving Artists," because I hated the fact that artists felt like they had to starve; they couldn't make any money.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever it is, retired and sipping coladas on a beach, I don't see myself doing that. I see myself still educating, helping, um, someone being maybe an inspiration, still being in the creative space, but I just don't know if it's going to be filmmaking.
I think that's big. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's journey is different, you know? But the thing I hear is that you still want to educate, you still want to be an artist in some form. I don't think no matter who you are, once you're an artist, I don't think you can ever really fully let that go. All right, Mr. Porter, on you. Retirement hits. What's the plan?
Man, the plan, to be honest, I had planned to stop filming weddings when I was 30. Like my goal was, hey, when I hit 30, I'm done with weddings and I'm moving on. Like the next chapter starts. I'm 31, still in weddings. So my plan for retirement, when I was thinking about this, I always thought of my exit strategy. And I don't think a lot of people think of that when you get into this space or any type of entrepreneurship type of work. You never think of like what happens when I can't physically do this anymore. The money stops, but that can't be an option because I still got to eat. I still got, my kids and my family. So for me, I think the long game, and this isn't like based on time or based on age. I think my vision is to make JPM Weddings my umbrella brand. I want to build that brand to a place where when people, it's kind of like Netflix, right? Like you want to watch TV, the first thing people do is, oh, what's new on Netflix? Like you go to Netflix for entertainment. I want people to go to JPM Weddings for reality TV wedding films. And so the end goal is to build this brand to be self-sustaining, where it's not Justin Porter media, it's JPM Weddings. I want people to recognize that brand as, yo, man, that team, like they crush it. Like I want them to think of like that brand of, in the wedding industry that is crushing wedding films. And then as for me personally, what I'd be doing is I really enjoy educating. I think something you said to me, Brandon, when we met was one day you'll have to make the switch. And I don't think I'll ever let go of my camera. I think I'm always going to want to use it. I love telling stories. I just think at that point, it'll be stories that that really hit a part with me personally, like something that I feel. And so I think after I can build this brand and kind of step away from being the face and the guy that's all on the social media stuff and it's kind of like the team leading it, I think I want to definitely educate because I really want the industry, the wedding industry, to shift. I want it to be difficult to become a wedding filmmaker. I don't want it to be your first job getting a camera and you film the most important day of a couple's life with zero knowledge. I want there to be some sort of training and process into it, or at least education that preps you in a good way. And so that, for me, I think education will be like the end game until I'm probably tired of that, or my wife is forcing me to, she wants to move to Florida and retire. And she always said that I want to be in the Keys. I want, so one of these days, I think that's going to be forced on me because of my wife, but I'll still just be doing like remote mentor sessions.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that both of you guys want to keep educating. I mean, obviously that's a passion of mine too, and I think that's why we all get along so well. But thank you both so much for being here with me today and providing so much value to the audience. I hope you guys in the chat have thoroughly enjoyed this live stream. If this is your first time tuning in for one of these live streams, we do this every single Friday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time as of right now. And we're just really excited every week to go live and have amazing conversations with creators, talk about filmmaking, talk about gear, but realistically, really have a conversation with the audience. Justin, I want to thank you for, on an extremely short notice, deciding to hop in on this stream and just being able to provide so much value. I mean, we've been able to talk about gear, whether it was overrated, underrated. We've been able to talk about the reasons why you actually choose where you should go in your filmmaking path, as well as how you actually go about picking the right gear along that journey. And so hopefully those of you who have been watching this stream, you've pulled a lot of value from it. it's been impactful for you. Maybe it's changed your trajectory. Maybe it's giving you some things to think about your trajectory. But ultimately, I would love for you guys to just continue on that journey. And if there's any way that any of the three of us can help you, don't hesitate to reach out, put them in comments, find us on Instagram. You can leave comments on the bottom of this video as well. Of course, it pops up, but please hit that like button. It lets us know if what we're doing is moving in the right trajectory. At the end of the day, we create this content for you. And so we want to make sure that we're creating the type of content that actually makes an impact. And so if it doesn't, let us know by not hitting the like button. But if it does, please hit that like button. It really, really gives us the feedback that we need, because live streams are not the best thing for the YouTube algorithm, but it does actually, in my opinion, help the most. And that's ultimately the reason why we do it. We're not going for the algorithm here because the algorithm doesn't like live streams. But I do think that it does allow us to provide the most value. And so, Justin, thank you so much for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for going over. I know I said this stream was going to be an hour. We're like an hour and 40 in. So thank you for being a champ and hanging and rocking with us. We really, really appreciate everyone who has been here for the live stream. Any last words, Mr. Porter?
No, man, it's been a pleasure. Y'all are both amazing. Like I said, I've been following you since I think you were around 26K on YouTube is when I found you. And I found Marcus from some post he did, man. It was like one light. And I swear that interview shot was probably like, it was so fire. And I would have swore he had just an over-the-top lighting setup that I was just ready to shell out money. And it was just like one like overhead light. Like it wasn't even like a fancy like 600. It was like, maybe a $50 light off Amazon. I'm like, bro, there's no way. Like, but yeah, man, it's been a pleasure just to be able to talk with both of y'all, be a part of this. You are doing amazing things, bro. Trust me, like I don't see myself as one of the people that inspires other. And so when people say that to me, I never really know how to take it. But you, my friend, are a big inspiration for me. Very similar. Didn't see a lot of people that look like me that were just crushing it, man, that are at the top. And so to be able to just, go from being just a follower to now, like, I'm on a live stream on your channel. Like, dude, that's like, it's exciting. So thank you again for just letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, man, no problem. Anytime. Would love to have you back on here. Like I said, we do this every single week. So any week, if you see a topic, you want to hop in for a quick one, you have an open invitation at any time. So thank you so much for hopping in. Marcus, any last notes from you?
Got 4. First one, shout out to my wife. I think she's watching this right now. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be able to get out there and chase them dogs, for this Oscar option. So definitely shout out to her. She's the one that actually pushed me to be more present on social media. So yeah. Second thing is Williamson that's in the chat. His daughter's birthday is today. I saw that somewhere. I just wanted to say happy 6th birthday to her. Third, Porter, appreciate you not unfriending me, because I watched my Instagram to see if you actually was going to do that. So appreciate that, man. You're definitely a great influence for people like me, in this space. Brandon, you shared it too. Didn't think we can be here, at this space. I'm still striving to be, like you said, at the top, or operating that. What you said, what's his famous thing? Level up.
Level up. Yeah, level up.
I'm still trying to get to that level up.
You gotta
part.
do the one hand and then the other hand, so they know that it level up. Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So I'm still on my way to there. Brandon, appreciate you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk and to push me. This is the main guy been pushing me to get on YouTube. So I got some stuff. I got some edited stuff. After the first, you're gonna see it drop. And you guys, thank you for allowing me to sit here with your boy, Mr. B Wash. The last thing is that question. The answer to that question is tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow I'll be 49.
49.
So yeah.
All right, let's go through the chat and see who was the closest. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for the live stream. If you guys have any additional questions, anything that we did not have time to get to, please do us a huge favor. Put it in the comment section. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in on the weekly basis. We see you. I see you, Mr. Camera Junkie. I see you every single week. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I see a couple other people in the chat who we see every single week. And so if this, again, is your first time, check back in next week, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, same time. Every Friday we go live and we have awesome conversations just like this. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.